Okay, so thank you so much for doing this.
Yep.
And it's the first time you're presenting your Liars project at like a solo capacity. Tell me a little bit how the tour has been going, how it's like to play on your own and kind of like pick other musicians to play with you.
It's been really amazing, actually. Yeah, we started off doing rehearsals in New York, I think, it must have been 6 months ago, and all that time since then we've been playing around the world, and it's been really fun, and we're just coming towards the end of this year, so it's nice to spend it in Portugal.
And I really want to know like how the build up to all the album, because you went in almost like isolation in Australia, right?
Yes.
Because you were living in LA?
I was living in LA.
Downtown, like in the...
Yep, in a proper city.
Proper city.
Yeah.
And then you moved to Australia. It's kind of this little island?
Yeah, it's not exactly an island, but it's a place where there are no roads, so you need to get there by boat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty much an island.
Is that something like, I think sometimes your art, it's almost like the path, it's more important than the object itself.
Oh yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, yeah. So the process is really the art form, in my opinion. You know, and the result is just what people get. You know, and that's the way I look at it. I really need to feel like the process is what I want to achieve. And if I do that, then I am less concerned with what the result is than knowing that I had done the process the way I wanted to, you know.
The fact that you kept Liars but in a solo project, was that anyway the reason you needed to go into isolation and kind of reinvent yourself in a way?
No, not really. You know, the real reason I moved back to Australia was my dad was dying.
That's
heavy. It's
heavy.
It's heavy but natural, and he was old, and so I had wanted to move back and be close to him for quite a while, but had yet to make the move, and so that was kind of the crux of doing it. And then I just took advantage of the possibility of living in a place that is so beautiful, you know. But yeah, it was a very emotional time for me. But in the end, really rewarding too. Sometimes sad things are good creatively, you know?
Actually very good creatively, but also very painful. But yes. I think, are you at some point, like when you did the album came out, is that a thankfulness, or is there like an emotional reward? It's not a reward, but at the same time you did some art that sometimes you just channel your emotions.
Yeah, I think maybe what you're saying is like catharsis, you know, to the idea that when you make something it gets released from you, you know. And you know, I've always been asked if making records was cathartic, you know, and I actually had always said no, you know, because I felt like making a record just kind of magnified my feelings, you know, and put it in as a document.
And you had to deal with them anytime you see or every time you played?
Anytime you listen to it or look at it. This is the first record where actually I did feel catharsis. I went through a very emotional and quite dark period through the writing of it, but towards the end of finishing it and up until now, there's been a huge change in me, and I'm really thankful for that. So yeah, it really was the first piece of artwork, I think, that really made me feel like I had released the things that were inside me, you know?
That's amazing. And also, like, sonically, it feels like you stripped a little bit down what it was like, maybe the soundscape that we're used to in Liars. With Liars, you needed to do that? You needed to change?
Well, I think with each record, you know, I mean,
it's a change, yeah.
It's important for me to approach each record like a project and to set it up in a way where it feels like, to me, I'm making a record for the first time. So I like to use a completely different set of tools, a way of making music with each record. So this was just happened to be a record where, you know, I really could have been happy if it was just the sounds of nature, honestly. I mean, the first few weeks I was working in the forest, you know. I was just recording the sounds outside, and a friend asked me, you know, how's it going writing the record? And I was like, I think it could just be these sounds.
These sounds. Yeah. It's like your relation with the space you're in, with the atmosphere, with the nature. It's very important for what it comes out of it, right?
I think that's the case with
this one,
and with everyone. You know, with all people, even whether or not you're making artwork. I think, you know, your location is a huge effect on.
Yeah, downtown LA I think it was really, really big. It's some songs I think from Sister World was really kind of there. We could feel it so much in the lyrics and everything. Yeah. So I think this one kind of mimics like more the lo-fi we kind of relate to an isolated place.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, it was one of the more interesting things was the sounds of nature there, because especially in Australia, there it's here's another big word, cacophonous. You know, it's super loud. You have insects and birds and wind in the trees and waves crashing, and there's a lot of sound, you know. And I would listen to that, and each sort of thing has its own rhythm, you know. And sometimes they would sort of flow together in this weird way, you know. The sounds of the cicadas with the waves crashing, and it was very organic, you know. And I as opposed to writing a record in like downtown Los Angeles, it felt like I wanted to emulate this organic sound, you know, to have instruments falling in and out of time with each other in a way that's not sort of programmed and computer-like, you know. You
also made a video that's now in a gallery exhibition in Prague? Mm-hmm. Yeah?
Yeah.
It was about that experience, right?
Yes.
It was your first exhibition?
No.
Sorry.
But for that piece, yes. You know, the big thing for me when I'm writing music is I'm always really inspired to try and visualize it. You know, I want to sort of see what the music looks like. You know, so I've written some of it. You know, and then I get a camera out and I see what connects me with it. You know, and so it's a big part of my process. Really, is to understand, you know, how is the music relating to the environment that I made it in, you know?
Yeah, you just not stick to one art. You don't not...
No. I mean, for me, it's much easier to call myself an artist than it is a musician. You know, I'm not a technical kind of, you know all the stuff kind of musician guy. I'm more just using sound and words and performance and things to express ideas, you know.
And you're very interested in like changing and going forward, because I heard you saying one time, like, if you mastered the guitar, it's time for you to live it and change to other things.
I think that's what I live by, you know. That sort of formula, even in life, you know. Like, as soon as I start to feel too comfortable with where I'm living or something, then I move to somewhere where you have to get a boat and you've got to like figure out how to tie it up, and you know, all those sort of things I think are really great for the human, you know, concept, you know, is to just not allow yourself to get too comfortable with a way of doing things, because ideas come when you free up your mind that way, you know. So yeah, each record I try and put down the thing that I've learnt or that I've been using and pick up something really new and random and just be like, oh, whoa, you know, it's fun, you know.
Because you want to challenge yourself and be amazed at the same time.
But also for me, it's like I need that, you know. It's like if I was stuck in a room just with a guitar and I had to make 8 records, I would
really sad.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, you know. I would probably smash the guitar, you know. But you know, with each record, I want to be inspired by something. So yeah, I need that change, you know.
And just one more, actually two things that I found really interesting. It's the first thing you see when you see the album itself. You named it TFCF, which is theme from Crying Fountain.
Crying Fountain, yeah.
And you release it like each word on a video.
Yes.
Yeah, but what does it mean for you? What is the thing you want to pass with the name of the album?
Well, as I said before, it was a very emotional time for me, and the music was really kind of the theme from this emotional time, and I felt like I was a crying fountain.
Oh, so it was your soundtrack.
Yeah, soundtrack of my emotions, you know.
But the artwork from the album, it's amazing.
She's
so I
No.
You want me to cry?
No.
Because that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. It's you dressed in a bridal outfit.
Yes.
Does it have anything to do with Andrew? With Aaron?
No, I always saw the idea of being in a band as like a marriage, you know. When you get together in a band, suddenly, you know, you're eating together and sleeping together, and all your experiences are shared, and it's very, more and more, as years go by, you become more and more intertwined, you know. And the idea that I was now without band members felt a bit like I was a bride left alone, you know. So I that was one way I found that inspiring. But, you know, I also like the idea of it just as a sort of an idea. My favorite ideas are the ones that are difficult for me to sort of live with or to sleep at night, you know. And when I thought about, I'll put myself on the cover in a wedding dress, I couldn't sleep. I was like, am I really going to do that, you know? And then and that makes me think, okay, well, that's a good idea, because otherwise, yeah, I could put a landscape, you know, or an actual crying fountain, and it'd be quite simple, you know. But that's not the kind of idea that would keep me up at night going, ah.
And performing in a wedding dress?
It's like having a second skin, you know.
Because the way you performed live has always been, the aesthetics of it has always been there.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
So it would be, we wouldn't expect anything less, but maybe we wouldn't expect bridal, but we would expect something that would, you know, make us wow.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think
think about it and really dig into the aesthetic things, not just the music.
I've always felt pretty strongly about the fact that you don't shy away from the idea that it's a performance, you know. You know, there's plenty of bands and people who sort of get up in what they're wearing and just play their music, and I'm sure they're great, but I think that it's missing out on a whole nother aspect of the art form, you know, which is a performance, you know. And so, yeah, I enjoy dressing up for the occasion, and I like the idea of sort of donning a character for the show, because in that way you're able to sort of let out, I think, even more emotionally than you might have if you're just sort of, you know, standing there, you know, as you were.
I think it's amazing, and I'm really looking forward for it.
Cool.
One more thing. Are you moving to Africa for the next one?
I would like to. I always have my eye out for where to go next. Yeah, and Africa is definitely on the list.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. Nice to meet you.